When the salmon return, there's a lot of nutrients that the salmon bring back from the sea to the watershed. When I talk about the watershed, I'm talking about the whole riparian corridor from the mouth of the river up all the way into the mountains. They're providing nutrients back into the soil. Then those nutrients are picked up by the trees, by the worms that are in the soil, by those insects that are in the soil. And it's also those nutrients are picked up by the wildlife, the bears, the coyotes, the bobcats, the cougars that are living within that watershed, the raccoons that use those carcasses as their resource for food. Right now, we estimate that up in the higher portions of the watershed, we're not seeing the cougar, we're not seeing the bobcats or the bears because of their food resource has diminished. You kind of think, well, how can a salmon so small provide such a great resource to a watershed? But it's amazing how they do. Now, culturally, salmon are significant to the tribes because everything within the tribes up here in the Pacific Northwest revolve around salmon. If it's, honoring the salmon for providing that subsistence, that food that has nourished the bodies. And when you do that, it's like paying respects to Mother Earth for providing that resource to keep us healthy and to feed us. Also, cultural events like a potlatch or the burning of a table, the paddle activities, they always seem to involve providing salmon at the event. It could be a powwow. You always find somebody cooking salmon on a stick up here in the Northwest. The host tribes have a cook who's always cooking salmon on a stick. So culturally, the salmon are very important to the tribe in their oral traditions, in their current cultural practices. There's also the first salmon ceremony, where the tribes that participate in the first salmon ceremony catch the first salmon that returns to the watershed in the summertime, and they honor that salmon. You do this tradition because if you treat them with respect, the next year's runs will be a strong run. If you don't treat the salmon with respect, then you won't have strong runs. And currently that's what we see. We don't see very strong runs. But if you think about it, it's not because of the lack of respect that the tribes are paying to the salmon. It's because of the degradation of the salmon's habitat. And that's what the tribes today do up here in the Pacific Northwest, is they continually push to restore the salmon's habitat.